Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the regular city council meeting to order. It's Monday, October 9th at 6 o'clock. Do a roll call. Lindsay?
Here.
Dar?
Here.
Pat? Here. Maureen?
Here.
Bailey?
Here.
And John is excused. Please, everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you, everyone. First item on the agenda is public comments. City Council will receive public comments on any issue related to the agenda. Limited discussion by the council may take place. Okay, hearing none. Next item is the consent agenda. We've got the Finance Committee minutes from September 20th, City Council meeting minutes from September 25th, Planning Commission minutes from October 2nd, General Fund balances from September, cash balances from September, paid invoice report from September, special event permit for Freedom Park on Saturday, October 14th from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m., and approval for a sign for the Prescott Area Food Pantry of $925.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? It's a roll call. Lindsay?
Aye.
Dar?
Aye.
Pat?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
Bailey?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is reports of standing committees and commissions. Finance Committee, committee minutes report from October 4th. Matt, you want to take that?
Sure. So last Wednesday, we met for our second Finance Committee meeting to discuss the 2024 budget. We reviewed with each department their overall needs, and we went through that, discussed the future capital improvement items. Overall, we made the decision to push forward 8% increase to the water rates due to the fact that we have a number of water rate projects or water utility project in terms of remediation of well number 3, and then well utility replacements on Locust Street that we just wrapped up, and then Elm and Washington Street coming later next year. That's on your agenda for tonight. Also, we considered a 3.8% levy adjustment for 2024. However, that is something that we'll be further discussing as part of the workshop on Wednesday. So,
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next item is Planning Commission report. We had a site plan review for 1415 North Acres Road. Carter presented the information regarding the new site plan. The commission approved the resolution and moved it to council. We also had a discussion on intermodal containers for exterior storage and residential units. They have to meet the standard for shed, siding, roof, etc., and anything discussed under sheds. And they have to meet all the other requirements as far as how much space they take up in your yard and things like that. We don't want an old rusty container sitting in somebody's yard. So that's what we discussed. Let's see, we talked about Churchill, the stall for Ace Hardware, so they will no longer be occupying that site. So that was pretty much it. Did I miss anything, Matt?
no.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next meeting is Monday, November 6th at 6 for Planning Commission. Parks and Public Works. The meeting for Monday, October 23rd has been canceled. Next meeting will be Monday, November 20th at 5 o'clock. Health and Safety, next meeting Monday, November 13th at 5 o'clock. Personnel Committee, next meeting Wednesday, November 1st at 5 o'clock. Next item on the agenda is public comments. The council received public comments on any issue not related to the agenda. Limited discussion by the council may take place. However, no action will be taken. It includes receiving written requests or documentation and possible action in future consideration.
I don't know if anybody has an update. I saw stakes in the ground at the site for the storage facility there next to the daycare. And somebody asked me where, I guess if they're doing stuff and they need permits or whatever with the city, where are they? It looks like they're back moving again. What do we know?
Yeah, so they decided to switch vendors in terms of suppliers for materials, which caused a significant delay. Additionally, they just got approval through the state about a month ago, and then they had to get reviewed through Alcroy. So they just had their footing and foundations permits approved, or I guess approved by them, and then we received it, so they're able to pick that up at any time and start that. It does sound like they're going to try to at least start the buildings that aren't climate controlled. There's 7 buildings in total that are supposed to be going on site, so they're hoping to start those buildings that aren't climate controlled. And the climate controlled building, the one that's facing closest to Orton Road, will be done in spring of 2024.
Okay.
At least that's their current update that they gave us.
Cool, awesome, thank you.
Any other public comments? Okay, next item on the agenda is Resolution 4123, approving the site plan review for commercial expansion at 1415 North Acres Road. Matt?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So this was, as previously mentioned, gone before Planning Commission and was approved. It is the site currently known as River City Stitch. It is 1.1 acres. The current building is 2,200 square feet. They are looking to expand that by about 4,450 square feet. The property is currently zoned I3 mixed industrial commercial, so there are no issues with the current use. It does meet all setbacks in terms of the building and the proposed addition. All off-street parking setbacks are also met. Architectural standards, we did just update this as part of our recent zoning codes, chapter 635, and the building does meet all those standards as updated. Additionally, same with our landscaping standards. Stormwater management, the site is actually reducing the impervious surface on site, so there was no need for stormwater management review, since it was a reduction. The new utilities will be using, or the addition will be using the existing utilities on site, so there are no addition of new utilities. The parking does meet the standards for our code. They have 22 spaces, and including 1 handicap space. Other than that, everything else was approved, so the final process is before you tonight to get approval. We do have the applicants, River City Stitch owners are here, as well as the engineers that work with them, if you have questions or comments about the expansion as well.
No, I actually don't. I think I would like to make a motion to approve the site plan review for the commercial expansion at 1415 North Acres Road.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution 4123, approving the site plan review, commercial expansion at 1415 North Acres Road. Is there any discussion on the motion?
I'm not sure if this is discussion, and quite frankly, it might be none of our business, but just curious. You're expanding, you're growing. What are your plans? What are you hoping to do or add, if you don't mind? And if you do mind, I
Could you
get
come up
it.
to the podium and tell us who you are?
I'm sorry I'm making you do that.
I was curious.
I'm Kim French. I'm the owner of River City Stitch. We have a location here and then one in River Falls. So with this expansion, we're looking to, I guess, double basically what we have now. We're pretty tight in there now. We got some new equipment and we're basically busting. So we need some more space for our machines, possibly add more machines on, not in the, in the near
immediate,
future. Yeah. Increase our retail space, maybe look at expanding to not expanding cities, but just offering more to the cities around us, like school spirit wear, that kind of stuff. So, yeah,
Awesome.
just being able to, we just don't have the space to store stuff, clothing right now, so if we have more space, we'll be able to produce more.
That's awesome.
I'd like to say I really like the landscaping plan.
Oh, yes, thank you. That's one over there. Yeah. Yeah, it should look nice when it's all done, so,
Yeah.
It does. It looks beautiful.
yeah.
Good luck. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Any other comment? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 4223, approving the purchase and installation of signs in the amount of $32,001 from Graphic House. That is for the food pantry?
No, these are 3 different signs. So this came before Parks and Public Works Committee at their September 18th meeting. They voted recommending it to council by a 3-0 vote. Essentially, the one sign is replacing the entry sign along Highway 10. That's the one next to Casco. If you look in your packet, there's a mock-up of where the sign would go. The other sign would then be adding a directional parking sign at the Cherry Street parking lot. If you remember, a lot of feedback we got when we were talking about paid parking was that they wanted, or people felt that we needed to better indicate where the Cherry Street parking was and that it was public parking. And then the final sign would be the public square park sign, changing that out to a totem sign, which is in the mock-up is in your packet for tonight. So the payment for these 3 signs, the first entry sign would be coming out of the capital improvement fund. This would be coming out of reserves. The directional sign would be coming out of TID 4, as we did with our other signs that we paid for downtown. And then the final sign would be coming out of the allocated funds that we put forward in this year's budget for the public square park improvements. So we're actually not, we're under budget. We had $138,919 budgeted for that project, and we're only at $101,780. So that's where those funds will be coming from that.
What are we gonna do with the old wood sign?
The public square park.
No, the one by Casco, the big one. I don't know if we wanna see if like the historical society wants it or anything like that. I don't know, just throw that out there. It is a
Sure.
nice, like, solid wood sign. I mean, it's just not been painted enough.
Right.
I don't know if anybody would be interested or not. I mean, it is kinda cool looking. If not, I guess it's a bonfire. I would make a motion to approve Resolution 4223 for approving the purchase and installation of the signs in the amount of $32,001 from Graphics House, Inc.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion, a second to approve Resolution 4223, approving the purchase installation of signs in the amount of $32,001 from Graphic House. Is there any discussion on the motion? Not. Bailey?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
Pat?
All right.
Dar?
Aye.
Lindsay? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of police department vehicle for the City of Prescott Police Chief for a total of $46,691.
Thank you, Mayor. So within the capital improvement plan that we approved last year for 2023 through 2030, we had $42,000 allocated in 2025 for the purchase of a police chief vehicle. Currently, our chief of police drives his own personal vehicle, which if he has an emergency, obviously we don't have a very large department, so if there's an emergency, he does respond within his own vehicle. So one of the things we looked at in terms of that CIP was making sure, just as we do with our investigator and our K-9 unit, that he gets a take-home car that he can respond directly with that. So it was planned in 2025, however, unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, we are expecting about $100,000 short in our police department budget due to a lack of applicants for position openings that we're seeing within the police department. So as a result, what we're presenting before you is moving that vehicle up from 2025 to 2023. We did consider this as part of our first finance committee, and overall, informally, it was recommended to bring to council for approval. Overall, Eric reached out and got some quotes. The overall quote is expected to be, like in the agenda, $46,691. $32,355 would go to the car. $5,990 would go for outfitting that car through EATI, and then $8,346 would go for the communication within that car. So overall, I'll turn it over to council for comments and questions.
Make a motion to approve the purchase of the police department vehicle for the chief.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion, a second to approve the police department vehicle for the city of Prescott Police Chief. Is there any discussion on the motion?
If I understand this correctly, the funds for this are money that was previously budgeted for staff or whatever that we just didn't have, so we're not having to spend any extra money. This is money that was already
Correct.
budgeted, that we're just repurposing slightly, and you still have left over a little bit.
Correct. So this is money that's allocated within the police department. That's why we're not having a roll call vote either, because you've
Right.
already allocated these funds as part of the 2023 budget.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is Resolution 4323, designating allocation to West Central Biosolids Facility Commission's revenue bonds to municipalities for bank qualification purposes.
Thank you, Mayor. So, right now, as part of our wastewater treatment plant, we are required by the Wisconsin DNR to take basically the sludge or the remaining process as it goes through the whole wastewater treatment plant and send it to West Central Biosolids. We work with a number of communities that are listed within your memo: Amory, Baldwin, Ellsworth, Hudson, Richmond, Osceola, River Falls, Roberts, Somerset, and Spring Valley. As part of West Central Biosolids, they're looking to do an upgrade, and what they've decided to do that would work the best is they are going to take out a revenue bond themselves. In order to do that, they're looking to use some of our tax exempt borrowing, and they're asking that for each community that participates in the West Central Biosolids. So for the city of Prescott, they are asking, as part of our share in the project, for us to allocate $445,241. Currently, we did complete our borrowing for Elm and Locust Street all this year, but we don't expect any other borrowing to happen. So we do have a remainder balance in terms of what we can borrow in terms of tax exempt borrowing, just over $5 million, and we don't expect to use any of that. Or, I'm sorry, just under $5 million. So since we're not expecting to use any of that, we don't see any issues with allocating these funds. That revenue bond is completely on West Central Biosolids books. It doesn't affect our borrowing, and it doesn't anything. We would be paying it off as part of our membership dues then each year that they then use as that revenue to pay off the bond.
And the other, at the last meeting, everyone else has agreed to that too? That's part of the group?
Yes.
Okay.
So in order for it to go through, the borrowing to go through, they would have to get this resolution passed by all these other communities as well before it can happen.
How long out then does that, I guess, cover us with biosolids, do we think? With them doing this addition, it gives us a resource to send our stuff for, do we have any idea, 5 years, 10 years?
There's a group that's pulling out of it, Pat. So
Right.
so it's just gonna increase now even more. So there's people that drop that aren't part of this group, but I believe, wasn't it,
River Falls.
yeah, River Falls
It's
is
going on
pulling
their
out of
own.
it?
Yeah.
Right, River
In
Falls is going on their
25.
own.
Correct, yeah. So the space that they're building should be able to, I can't remember the exact percentage of increase, but I think was substantial based on kind of the surrounding communities that are current members and non-members, because non-members also use them as a drop station if they run over.
They pay an extra, is that right?
There's extra money, yeah, they gotta pay.
That
Our
they have to
our
pay.
rate is lower.
Right,
We're pretty far down the path on this one,
yeah.
yeah.
You know, and I was just curious, like I said, does this kind of keep us covered? Do we have any idea how long this keeps us covered?
Well, so there's two parts of this expansion. This first part is adding a bay and updating some of the equipment, so it's not the major addition. But one of the things, to your point, is River Falls is only through 2025, and then they're building their own facility
Right.
within the community. So the second part of this expansion, which they call this 0.5 expansion, and then 1.0 expansion would actually be the major addition. However, if that's needed, would still be something that would have to be discussed, especially now with River Falls not being part of the West Edge
The
bus.
new,
Okay.
the new equipment was the big piece though, from what I
Okay.
recall at the one meeting that we went to.
This wasn't the
but
1.0, this is just the .5.
Point.
Okay, gotcha.
Phase one of
Yeah.
the project, I guess.
Okay.
I would make a motion to approve resolution 44-23.
I'll second that motion.
Can I?
Or, I'm sorry, 43-23, not 44, my
Yep.
fault.
And I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Maureen? Do you have anything?
No.
Oh, okay, I thought you had something.
So you're just correcting the number.
Okay. So if there's no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 4423, approving additional asphalt on Orange Street for the cost of $29,347.
Thank you, Mayor. So the city of Prescott this year, we budgeted $161,900 for repairs on Orange Street and then also Orange Street parking lot. Currently, this work is wrapping up, but the only remaining item to be done is the installation of a guardrail. We actually and the painting of traffic lines on the street. To date, the city has spent $120,857 on the work, which includes all the paving costs at $79,682. However, one of the things that was discussed as we were looking into the project and talking with our city engineer, Greg Adams, and also Public Works Director, Mike Kinnaman, was that we only had 2 inches of asphalt and we wanted to basically try to make that road last, so that's where we're investing. We wanted to add an additional layer, so what we're looking for you tonight is to give us approval for the additional quote for adding that inch at $29,300. Again, this money would be coming out of funds that we already allocated, so we'd actually not be we'd still be under budget in terms of the overall project at $11,743, even with this approval for the project. So with that, I'll turn it over to council for comments or questions.
I make a motion to approve 44-23.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve 4423, approving additional asphalt on Orange Street, the cost of $29,347. Is there any discussion on the motion? Not. Bailey?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
Pat?
All right?
Dar?
Aye.
Lindsay?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 4523, to proceed with an 8% simplified rate increase for the water utility.
Thank you, Mayor. So this, as I mentioned, was something we discussed at last week's budget meeting. We, as a city, have already discussed and approved a full rate case study that would be our first since 1997. However, we are still waiting for the DNR to give us formal acceptance of, or hear back, I guess, regarding our loan grant that we requested through the Safe Water Drinking Fund program as part of Well 3 remediation. So instead of looking at just doing one large increase through the water full rate case study, we're looking to try to slowly balance that, and that's part of what is being considered tonight is in terms of doing the simplified rate increase. And this is being done again through because of the Well 3 remediation and then also the water projects in terms of Elm, Washington, and Locust Street. Based on the current scenario, we would see per quarter increase for an average residential water user of $2.86 per quarter or $11.44 per year. The full breakdown is within your packet, and if you look towards the back, it gives you a notice of rate increase for average residential, multifamily, commercial, public authority, and industrial within the packet as well, and I can go over those if there are specific questions for each one. Overall, we are expecting this increase to generate about $26,199 in terms of additional funding for the water utility account. With that, I'll turn it over to council for comments or questions.
Any questions? I'm going to make a motion to approve Resolution 45-23 to proceed with the 8% simplified rate increase for the water utility.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 4523, proceed with an 8% simplified rate increase for the water utility. Any discussion on the motion? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of municipal refuse and recyclables collection contract between the City of Prescott and Tennis Sanitation LLC.
Thank you, Mayor. So back in April of 2023, the Parks and Public Works Committee, we discussed looking into options for alternate trash haulers due to our continued poor service from GFL. Since Paul's Industrial Garage was sold, the city has been operating on an at-will agreement with GFL for all single-family, two-family, and three-family homes within the city of Prescott. Our current rates for trash and recycling service are as follows. 35 gallon is $19.72 per month, 65 gallon is $21.46 per month, and then 95 gallon is $25.63 per month. So after that meeting in April, we did reach out to multiple haulers. The two that were interested were Tennis Sanitation and Waste Management. After receiving those rates, Tennis Sanitation did have the best options in terms of looking at competitive rates and also best customer service. So with that, we've put together a proposed contract that is before you tonight for considerations. A few things to note, though, however, is Tennis Sanitation does not operate a 35-gallon container, so all customers that do use a 35-gallon container will have to upgrade to a 65-gallon container. All billing would be handled directly through Tennis Sanitation, so no longer would the City of Prescott be billing anyone for trash and recycling. That would all be handled directly through Tennis, and you'd be calling Tennis directly for customer service needs. Additionally, currently within the proposed contract, the rates start at $20.43 per month for a 65-gallon and $21.88 per month for a 95-gallon. These, however, are 2023 rates. Within the contract, it does stipulate that Tennis Sanitation does have to give us 30 days before notice of new rates go into effect. However, the contract does state that there is a 3% yearly cost of living increase, and then an additional increase of 9 cents for every $1 increase in tipping fees from the landfill. As a result, we are expecting for 2024 rates to go up by 3%, so be $21.04 per month for the 65-gallon and $22.54 per month for the 95-gallon, which is still cheaper than the rates. However, that's with the caveat that they still have the ability to hear from the landfill that they're increasing tipping rates. That is still one thing that may happen, just to keep in mind as you're considering this contract. The last thing that would have to happen with the changes currently right now on Broad Street, those containers are picked up directly and dumped into the trash hauler. What would just change is we would have to provide bags that we put at the bottom. They would take the bag that's currently in them, throw the bag in there, and then they reline them. So we would just, as our public works staff, would just have to maintain those bags at the bottom of each can on Broad Street and potentially the parking lots. So our city attorney has reviewed this contract with Tennis Sanitation, and all issues have been addressed within the final draft. So if the city approves this contract tonight, we'd be following the timeline for implementation. We'd work with Tennis Sanitation to do a mail out to all of our customers, or with all the residents, I should say, in early November, late October. This would include a brochure with all the information in terms of what Tennis Sanitation has to offer. We would then notify GFL effective by November 1st of the termination of our services effective December 31st, 2023. Tennis Sanitation would then drop off new carts to all residents in December based on service per household as of November 1st, 2023. So that's one thing to keep in mind, that no changes in service can be made after November 1st of 2023. That doesn't include starting and ending services. That just means if you wanted to change a can after November 1st for that 2-month window, you wouldn't be able to do that. And then starting January 1st, Tennis Sanitation would take all overall refuse and recyclables collection for all single, two-family, and three-family homes within the community. All multifamily, commercial, and industrial still would be able to access and choose their own garbage services just as they are now. We'll get into more official timelines once assuming the contract is approved, that will work out, and we'll share as we get closer to that November 1st as well. So with that, I'll turn it over to council for comments and questions.
The other thing I want to add is that they said that they do compost pickup. That's the big one. So they'll do compost pickup too, so.
Do you need a separate pail for that?
I'm assuming so, because like Waste Management have the bags that you can buy, so I'm
Yeah.
not sure exactly how they would do it, but the point is that if there's somebody that, if our hours until we look at automation for the gate, done with the compost, this is at least an option for people to use, because we don't have the option today. So I think that's a nice addition.
They are separate carts, and they say on the side of them, compost yard waste.
And just so you know as well, GFL has terminated their 35-gallon trash bins as of last week. So anybody that would like a smaller can is not able to get one.
On that note,
They'd be pulling the, well, it doesn't matter.
They'll leave the 35.
That are out.
If somebody already has one, they'll let them keep it. But any new resident that is requesting one will not be able to get one.
Oh, okay.
I would make the motion to approve the municipal, let's see here, refuse and recyclables collection contract between the city of Prescott and Tennis Sanitation.
Second?
We have a motion, a second, to approve the municipal refuse and recyclable collection contract between the city of Prescott and Tennis Sanitation. Is there any discussion on the motion? Not open for public opinion, Tom, you know that. If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is approval of a request for qualifications for services for planning of a multi-use trail to connect north of US Highway 10 to schools, businesses, and the existing trail and sidewalk system through Transportation Alternatives Program application on October 27th of 2023.
I think that was the longest agenda item title we've ever had.
It is.
So, one of the things we've been working now, at least since 2017, I think even earlier than that, was trying to come up with an option for a safe cross between north of Highway 10, which is the St. Croix Bluffs residential neighborhood, and south of Highway 10. We've done a couple applications through funding through the TAP before, and they both have been unfortunately not received. So in talking with the DOT, one of the options that they recommend is to do future planning, to do full planning through a TAP planning grant. And then if you receive that, it would go through a TAP design grant, and then finally bringing the process through the whole TAP program for funding. So it'd be an incremental step, and basically what it would allow us to do is to go through that step with the DOT and have much more back and forth with them. And then as we move forward, if there is, essentially they find that the project or the program doesn't meet the criteria, it does allow us to then stop and pull back and reassess other options. So what's before you tonight is that first part of that process in terms of the TAP application for a planning grant. And this is a 90-10 split once that TAP grant is submitted. However, before you is just there is approving the request for qualifications that would go out. Then once we get those requests, the future item will be brought to your next meeting for actual approval of whoever we get applicants from for this process. There's not, I guess, a whole lot to say other than to say what happens then after tonight comes back, and then if approved for funding through TAP, essentially that planning phase includes preparing a minimum of 3 alternatives to be presented to the city, and we'd work through that, and then the best alternative would be applied then for the design phase of the TAP process. So with that, I'll turn it over.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
would they then almost guarantee funding the implementation phase, or would that still be up for another grant?
So it'd go planning, design, and then full funding for the project. There's no guarantees at all. I mean, assuming that each step moves forward, it does look more and more promising, but there's no guarantee that we would get funding
Yeah.
along the way.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion, a second, to approve the qualification services for planning multi-use trail to connect north of Highway 10 to schools, business, and existing trail. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Question, in any way, would this be related to or get tagged to the state's request that we sign a maintenance agreement, as far as you know?
It wouldn't get tagged to it, however, it, most likely than not, the state as part of this would require us to maintain it, and
But not dangling that previously presented maintenance agreement to us over this?
no, they're two
As far as you know.
separate
Okay.
arms of the DOT, so I don't
Okay.
think they would play into each other.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 46-23, providing for the prepayment and redemption of a portion of the outstanding $3,755,000 general obligation corporate purpose bonds, Series 2015A. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. So before you tonight is the prepayment of that 2015A bond. One of the things that we did as part of the capital improvement plan last year when we approved it, we looked at long-term funding of capital items in 2023 through 2030. As part of that process, we had the option of looking at either lowering the borrowing for 2023 for the Elman Street and Locust Street, or prepaying projects in terms of the 2012, which we already did, and then the 2015 bond, which is before you tonight. So we did establish a general fund balance policy of 60 to 75% of the subsequent year's budgeted expenditures. Based on our last audit, which is 2022, we have a balance of $3.49 million, of which an unassigned of $3.3 million currently in place. As part of this bond, we did pay off the 2012 AGO bond for $400,794 in January, and that would leave us with a 2.89 or 2.9 unallocated budget funding as part of this. So before you is essentially that prepayment of 2015 for $400,000 of existing debts. That wouldn't pay off the entire bond. We'd still have the payments that are in your memo tonight. So general fund would still have $173,400 in 2024, and then water would have payments in 2024 and 2025, as well as sewer and storm as well. Those payments would still be. However, this would be paying down the overall debt levy that we need, and that was one of the reasons we decided to move with this option, is that in the immediate short term, that debt levy will stay consistent, and we won't have to look at allocating additional funds towards that process this year. So with that, I'll turn it over to council for comments and questions.
So the payment is being made it's 400,000?
400,000.
Recommend approval of 4623, providing for the prepayment of $400,000 of the outstanding $666,212.52 general obligation corporate purpose bonds, Series 2015A.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, to approve Resolution 46-23, prepayment redemption of a portion of the outstanding general obligation corporate purpose bonds. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, Lindsay?
Aye.
Dar?
Aye.
Pat?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
Bailey?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Other business. We have a council workshop planned for October 11th at 5 o'clock. And then the Pine Glen Cemetery Association meeting on October 25th at 6:30. Anything else? Any other business?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Motion and second to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
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 We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.